Oh, Mr. Marino, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. We got a guest here today. Introduce him,
Yes,
pal.
we do. Yes, we do. Very excited
Introduce
to
him,
talk to
brother.
Joe. Oh, introduce him. All right. So we have Beauchamp with us today. I didn't always know I was doing the introduction, but thanks, man. I appreciate that. So, Joe, welcome to the podcast. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, thank you. Thank you both for having me on the podcast today. It's a pleasure to be here.
So,
Appreciate it, brother.
Joe,
Yeah, I was on Joe's podcast a couple of weeks ago, and like, at the same day, you called me like, "Hey, you want to be on a podcast?" I'm like, "I would love it, man. I appreciate it." And you have a great new podcast that's out there. And at the same time, like, "Hey, do you want to be on ours too?" So it was like almost a quid pro quo of podcasts for each other. So this
Yeah,
is
I
fun, man.
appreciate
Good to
that.
see you twice in 2 weeks. I like it.
Yeah, thank you. Well,
Yeah.
listen, meeting the both of you gentlemen was a tremendous pleasure. It was just probably like a month or two ago that we met. Had both had great conversations. I really love what both of you are doing and how atomic business coaching helps people to go from being working in their business to actually becoming the CEO of their business. Um, I love all the little things that you say, like the commitment. All right, give me that. What's the E again? And then obsession.
Commitment,
I think
effort,
yeah,
obsession. There you
effort,
go.
obsession, commitment, effort,
Yeah.
obsession. I remember the obsession part, right? Um, so yeah, so I think we all have very similar mindsets. We're all out there trying to make the world a better place, kind of in a similar vein. Um, and so yeah, it's been a pleasure speaking with the both of you, and I'm glad to be here today.
Yeah, and we admired you. When we met you, you and I ended up doing the absolute wrong thing you're supposed to do at any networking event, which is we talked to each other for like an hour and a half straight, and we didn't talk to anybody else. And the reason is we really speak the same language, and I admired your journey. I really loved what you were doing and who you were doing it for. And you're a big. I got one of his books right here, John Maxwell,
Nice.
How Successful People Lead. And I know you were trained underneath Mr. Maxwell, which is pretty impressive.
Thank
And
you.
you really championed his ideas in a cohort in our area. We're all, anyone listening or watching, we're all from New York. And Joe's really championing that idea and bringing other trainers together, doing great things in the leadership space for people who truly need to think differently, who truly need to learn how to lead, learn how to build teams. And it's a very impressive way that you have been lucky enough to translate his teachings into your methodologies and blend those two together. So I thought that's why it was cool that we would bring you on here. And it's like you didn't buy a franchise, you learned a system and you've done it, and you're really helping excellent people do incredible things. So this is the Be the CEO podcast where we really talk about, in order for you to go from where you were to where you are now, what changed? What were your beliefs, behaviors, and how did you know you became the CEO? When did you become it? So that's what we're going to do. So why don't you talk a little bit about who you are and what you do, and then what beliefs you really had to either adopt or change to start your journey?
So rewind back to 1995 is when my leadership journey began as a manager in a global corporation, and I was on kind of this fast track for leadership development. I loved it. I thought I did pretty well, and I launched out of there with zero knowledge, zero wisdom, zero zero backing, zero support, and fell on my face. And every story of success in business has to do with teetering on the edge of utter disaster for longer than most people would stay there. And I couldn't stay on that edge of that disaster. My kids were little, had bills, house, and stuff like that. So I had to go do something else. I went into education, became a high school teacher. But that desire to help business people use good leadership principles and be successful with their teams and for their customers, that never went away. And I remember talking to a group of students one time about living their dream, and in my heart, like I could just feel like this tightening in my chest, like, Beauchamp, you're not doing that. Like, this is not it. You got one more step to go. And that's around the exact same time that I found Maxwell Leadership. And I realized this is the support system with the backing and the training and the coaching and the mentoring. Everything I needed that I didn't have round one is all included in the Maxwell Leadership Program. And so if I just joined that team, I could I could launch into really my life purpose. And so that's what I did. And I'll say the limiting belief that I had and this goes for most of my life, I would always look at stuff and think, wow, that's great for those people who get to do that. Like that's for someone else. That exists for someone else who can take advantage of that. And it was like, that's not for me. Like that's not, I'm not part of that group that's
Yeah.
allowed to participate in those things. And it was really kind of like a wake up call being like, dude, it's just some other, like everything that everybody's done is just some other dude like me
Yeah.
sitting at a table who makes a decision and took an action and started something and launched it. Right. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to be that dude. I'm going to be the dude who makes those decisions and does those things. And it's for me. It is for me. So that's the biggest mindset.
That's a major thing that people put themselves inside that box, and they're looking through the window at the zoo one way or another, like, wow, look at all those amazing things that everybody else is doing, and it must be nice, it must be nice, and that's really cool. And then other people will have the ability to admire it, and they're like, wow, that's really impressive. And my mom has a saying that she says to me all the time, since I was younger, and I was always like, are you saying this to like bolster my confidence, or are you saying this because you truly believe it? But then I started using it with my children very appropriately. I'm not trying to do anything. I'm serious when I say it. And she used to say, Adam, I'm very impressed with what you've done, but I'm not surprised. And I was like, holy shit, like, that's a cool thing. Like, I
That's
was
right.
meant to do this. You're impressed with the accomplishment, but you're like, yeah, you were supposed to do that.
Yeah. That's all.
And that's kind of where we go when we change that limiting belief. And we usually have some action that we've taken. So, what were some of the behaviors that you had done that allowed that belief to be cemented in, or allowed you to really go through with that newfound belief and overcoming it?
I think it was over time of just really considering and owning it and deciding this is how I'm going to think. This is for me. Change. And when the old thought would come up, that's nice for someone else. No, that's for me. I'm going to do this. And part of that, I would say, in my leadership journey, I study, I read books, I listen to audiobooks, I watch podcasts, I watch YouTube videos, I go to seminars, I read journals. I'm a student of leadership, of good leadership, what I would call values-based leadership, right? To live for a purpose, to make the world a better place, to do the right thing. And there came a point in time when I started to realize that I've accumulated a good chunk of what's out there. I don't want to say like I've accumulated everything. I haven't accumulated everything, but I've accumulated enough where nothing really is surprising that I come across. I don't like, nothing is ever something new that I'm like, oh, that's so amazing. I've never thought like that before. It's all, that's very good. That sounds very similar to what these other three people have said, right?
Right.
And so good leadership has been studied literally for thousands of years. You can look at the most ancient writings on earth and people are like, wow, that guy's farm is better than this guy's farm. What's he doing differently? Hey, this guy is got, he's got more cows than that guy. Like, what's he doing differently to get that, better success? And so this stuff is ancient studies. Like nothing's probably been studied more than business. And so just reading about this stuff and learning, about all this wisdom and information. And so I've gotten to the point where I'm like, I'm not being surprised with brand new content. And that makes me feel like, okay, I've got a good handle on what's out there. I'm not down here. Like I'm somewhere that I've got valuable content that I can give because nobody's coming up with new stuff that I'm like, wow, that's revolutionary. Like I've never heard or seen that before. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I feel like I've gotten a good handle on the wealth of the knowledge that's out there.
Well, I think what you realize as you read more leadership development, self-help, all of that stuff, it's everybody is saying the same thing over and over, right? There's new ways of saying it sometimes, and sometimes it's just reframed or reworded in a different way. And you brought up, how important how you see yourself as a value-based leader, right? And we talk about values all the time with our clients and the importance of value alignment and how our values come from what we believe. What were some of the things that held you back from believing that you could be that guy when you were thinking like, oh, that looks really nice from the outside? What were some of the things that held you back? Did you know what you valued? Did you have any of that supporting you, or was it all just sabotaging you or just keeping you from doing what you really wanted to do?
I don't, I don't, I didn't know that that was a belief system that I had. I just had it, and that was like normal. It was the default. I never thought, hey, I should have that. And somebody like slapped my hand and said, no, you can't have that. It was never like that. It was just like, wow, that's great for those people who get to do that. That must be wonderful. I would love, I would love to be in that contingent of people who gets to go and experience this experience, right? And then I realized that they're just like me. It's just people sitting around, somebody came to me the other day and they're like, oh, I want to get this certification. I'm like, I'll give you a certification. Like, who are you? I'm no different than the other guy. Some dude just sat at a table and said, hey, let's come up with some kind of certification and create this certificate program and certify people. I could do the same thing. You could do the same thing. You could be an atomic business certified, whatever you want to be certified in, right? So
Actually, yeah, it's true. We can all do it.
you
We
can all
can
do
all
it. Anybody can do it because the people there's nothing special.
Well, it's
about the
funny,
people who
Tom.
do
We
it.
actually do that in our sales course.
Yeah, we do. We give a certificate at
They
the
get a
end.
certificate. They go through our sales course and they get a certificate. And it's like,
They're
wow,
certified.
now
They're atomic
I'm
business
certified
certified
now.
sales professionals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the whole John Maxwell thing, right? I mean, you go through the process and you're a certified speaker, leadership development coach, like you're all those things. And yeah, when you go through a process, people are so attached to those kinds of things, right? And breaking those behaviors is like, okay, yeah, you don't even need those things. It's how you implement, right? I always say you either have a knowledge problem or you have an execution problem, or both,
Right.
right? And that's, I think, what holds a lot of people back. You said before you were talking to students, and that sounded like it was the pivotal moment that you realized I I got to change this, right? What were some of the things that led, like, what were some of the big behaviors that you had to get away from to change to bring yourself here? What did you have to, quote unquote, what we talk about is surrendering our old habits and surrendering our own self to the new things? What were some of those things that you had to give up that you didn't realize you were going to have to give up?
I think perfectionism is a big one, and that's something I
Mm-hmm.
still struggle with. It's always that it's just not good enough for me. Let's make it one tweak better. Let's take one more go at it to make it one little bit better. And I have to realize, listen, it's good enough. It's going to be fine. And it's better to get it done now and move forward than to spend another hour or another day or another week or another month or whatever perfecting something. So that was a huge realization. And I also realized, like, my personality type, being that perfectionist, and I give this advice to the people who have similar personality types, is aim for a B. Don't aim for an A. Don't aim for an A plus. Don't aim for the 100. Aim for the B. And when I say that, it almost gets caught in my throat to say that, to aim low, right? But the reality is, if I aim for a B and I'm like, well, that's good enough, it's done. And other people are going to look at that and go, wow, that's amazing. And they're going to give it an A. Because my evaluation is I've got such a high standard, like nobody's making it to A in my book. You know what I'm saying? Like, so for me to try to get to an A, it's never gonna get done. So if I just shoot for a B, other people are gonna look at that and go, okay, you know what? That's actually really very good. And then of course, if I look at it, round two, I'm always gonna make it better. So even let's say my podcast, round one of the podcast, I'm like, I don't know how it's gonna turn out. It might actually be terrible, but that's how the first one goes anyway. So you might as well jump into it. I'm sure that a year from now, we'll look back on the podcast, Tom, that you and I did, and
That's
Adam,
so
that you and I
funny.
did, and be like, wow, let's do that again, because we kind of just, I blundered that one. So,
Yeah.
but it's okay.
I saw something recently about perfectionism. So while you were talking, I drew it real quick. And it goes like this. This is how we started. This is how we finished.
Yeah,
The problem is everybody wants this. They're not willing to do this.
right.
And the thing with perfectionism that we've seen in our practice is that so many people just can't take the first steps to start because they're like, I'm really not good enough to draw that perfect circle. So I can't practice. I can't do this. My daughter, I had to discipline her at 11:30 p.m. She's 10 years old. 11:30 p.m. last night because she was practicing the trumpet. Yeah. And I went in her room and she's like, I'm sorry, Dad. I'm sorry, Dad. I'm sorry. I'm like, stop saying you're sorry. Stop saying you're sorry. I'm like, how is it so quiet? She's like, I took a pillow and I put it over and muffled it. I'm like, okay, but I could hear it and you're going to wake Mom up. And she's like, I'm sorry, Dad. I just wanted to practice. And she's writing down sheet music. She's actually writing out the music. And she kept apologizing. I'm like, stop apologizing. I'm not mad at you. I'm really, really proud of you for actually practicing. She has a big thing with NISMA that she's doing.
Yeah.
And like, I'm really, really proud of you for practicing. It's just not the time to do it.
Right.
But the thing is like, people are so scared to
Mm-hmm.
like get started. They're so scared to take those first steps. They're so scared to suck.
Yeah.
And that's what I've explained to her many times, many of our clients, like, you're gonna whatever you're gonna do, you're gonna suck at it. And then my daughter, even when I tell her this, she says, yeah, but I'm pretty good at these things. I'm like, yeah, yeah, yeah. But compared to where your potential level is, when you start, you always suck.
Correct.
There's so much more potential to learn inside of these things. And it's like we're always gonna be really bad at it. And that's the prevention of like, what is that belief I have to change? And what are those behaviors I have to do? And what I heard you say in your behaviors earlier was that you really started educating yourself. And along that journey, you saw that I really know this shit. Like, wow, I know it. And then I heard it over there, and I heard it from her, and I heard it from him, and I read it in this place. And like, okay, so the things that I believe, I might say them a little differently. The way I behave, I might do it a little bit differently, but so is everybody else.
Right.
So it kind of was connected that, like, yeah, these are just other people. They happen to write a book and they have a better publicist than me, but they're saying the identical thing.
Right.
Right. And it's like, okay, so I can feel confident in my competence.
Right.
And that's what I feel a lot of people, they don't get started because they have no competence. And they're like, oh, I need this confidence I have to gain before I get started. And that's what we say is confidence comes from competence.
Correct.
Like, and you can't have that unless you start where you are and you suck.
Right.
Like, you're terrible. But if you
So-
keep going, getting after it, you get better.
So two things I think work in my favor. And one of those is that I really, truly believe that one of the strongest characteristics of good leadership is humility. And so I embrace humility. My challenge is to not be arrogant because I can be arrogant, very arrogant, and I've been called out on it, and it's hurt. I remember the first time, not necessarily the first time, but somebody who was close to me told me that I was arrogant, and I'm like, I was so offended. I'm like, who is he to tell me that I'm arrogant? Which was probably arrogant. And so I asked my family. I'm like, I was in college, and I asked my family. I said, you know, I was accused of being arrogant. Am I arrogant? And they go, yeah, of course you're arrogant. I'm like, they're like, yeah, you're arrogant. I'm like, what? Why didn't anybody tell me? And I was hurt by it. I was shocked. I'm like, I can't. They're like, we love you anyway. We love you. You know, it's my family. So since then, I've really been embracing humility. And if you think about humility, there might be some humiliation in there. So when I do things that fail, that are a mess, I say something wrong, I put my foot in my mouth, I embarrass myself. I'm like, you know what? That was humiliating. Thank you. That helps me to be humble. Right? So I don't avoid that feeling of being a fool or messing up or doing the wrong thing. Listen, I'm trying to do the best I can. I also understand that everybody's just muddling their way through it. Like nobody has, you know, this clear picture and is, you know, perfect in every single step of the process, right? Everybody's kind of stumbling their way through this thing called life. And nobody really knows much better than anybody else how to play the game or how to, you know, win at this game. In the end, we're all dead anyway. So,
Well,
yeah.
it's very true, and you're right. It is a game, but I love that, you know, in this very short amount of time that we're talking here, it's just amazing to see how willing to fail you are, because that is the difference between what people who are successful or not, is the willingness to fail. But like you said, to be able to laugh at yourself and to have humility and to be humiliated, because it allows you to really see yourself for who you truly are. I think the best thing that probably ever happened was someone called you arrogant, because otherwise you would not have examined it and really tried to understand it. And that's where the growth mindset comes in. There's arrogant, and then there's just really confident. A lot of people mistake extreme confidence for arrogance at times. And I think what you just demonstrated, which is so important for so many people, especially, people we've worked with and all real business owners out there is that you don't have to know everything and do everything yourself. You're allowed to laugh at yourself. You're allowed to fail, and you got to give yourself that permission. And it sounds like you've given yourself that permission. And that's such a valuable part of what is paving your success.
Thank you. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's uncomfortable. Eating humble pie is uncomfortable, but I do embrace it. I know that humility is that value. And so I just try to really embrace it. I know that we're going to fail the first time anyway. It's going to be messy. The first pancake, I think there's an expression, I've heard it's a Russian expression, I don't know, but it says the first pancake's always ruined. Right. So if you ever make pancakes, the first one never scoops right off the pan. It always kind of wrinkles up or flops over or whatever. So, and that's the way it is with any iteration. It's an iterative process. We're going to get better over time. No matter how good we start off, we're going to look at it a year from now and think that was crazy how terrible that was. So you might as well get all the terrible things out of the way first. Just jump in, get started, get moving, and take those risks and be willing to be humble and take the losses and learn from the mistakes. And you do it enough times. If you improve a little bit every time, it's a significant improvement over time.
Yeah, Naval Ravikant had a wonderful quote he said on a podcast, and he said that all learning is iteration on past failures. That's it. And if you didn't fail, you can't iterate, you're not going to learn, right? And that's all we are. And if we can appreciate that, okay, every single day, no matter how good you are, you're iterating and you're learning and you're getting better. And if you looked at what you did today and compared it to what you did last month, you probably are better at it.
Yeah.
As long as you practiced and you persisted and you kept going with it and you stayed consistent with it. Yeah. If you haven't done something in a year or two, you're going to have a little rust on it, but you can get back to that place.
Right.
But if you're consistently doing anything, and that's what business is really about, it's about the consistency of the execution. Right? It's not about the intensity. And that's what most people think when they become the CEO is if I just spend this week being really intense about this thing and then put it on the shelf for 3 months, it's going to work out. It won't.
Right.
It's how do you keep doing it day in and day out and figure out systematic approaches to whether you're going to offer others the opportunity to do this with you, or you're going to find ways that you can do it for yourself that fits within your day and allows for harmony with your life. But that's the only way. And people try to force intensity down there, and then they're wondering why are they burning out and why doesn't it feel good anymore? And it's you just didn't find a way to be consistent with the learning. And that's why in many of the businesses that I have owned, we call it a practice. It's a practice. This is our coaching practice. I had a financial planning practice. It's never I'm perfect at it and I'm doing it. No, unfortunately, you're my client today that's getting better service than the client last year.
Right. Right.
But, okay.
That's just the way it is. So accept it.
So let me ask you this then on the, believe, behave, become. When did you know that you had become this? When did you know wow, I've really arrived and I'm doing the thing? And what was there a moment? Was there a feeling? Was there evidence? And then did that also, as a second to that, did that also change anything about how you operated your life or your business?
So back during COVID, I attended a virtual seminar on higher purpose or life purpose. And the majority of that seminar was about how valuable having a purpose was, how knowing your why, I think based like Simon Sinek, start with why. And so if you read that book, you're like, wow, this life purpose thing is so valuable, so important, so clarifying. But if you ever finish reading that book, Start With Why, you find out that he doesn't actually tell you how to do it, right? So several years later, he wrote a follow-up book, Find Your Why, which actually went through strategies on how to find it. So I finished this seminar and I asked the person, okay, great, you sold me. I need my life purpose. How do I figure it out? And his answer was a non-answer. And so I decided I'm going to go on my own. I'm going to figure out what is a way in which I could find out what is really true in my life purpose. Why am I here on this earth? And so I created this system, a set of questions to ask myself to journal on every day. And I journaled for 7 days. Well, I think I journaled for about maybe 10 days. on it, and I asked myself these questions, and I wrote for probably about 20 minutes to 30 minutes every day. And the way I journal, just to FYI, I only journal on one side of the page, and on the other side of the page, every distracting thought was what goes there. Because what happens, what I found when journaling is, I'm journaling, these distractive thoughts come, and now I feel like I'm juggling, and I can't focus. So I put all the distracting thoughts on the left page, and my journal goes on the right page. And so I do this for about 10 days. And this was when we were all home during COVID. And at the end of that, I look back upon the journal and I'm like, wow, this looks so clear. Like, it was so clarifying. And it put everything in perspective. Like, this is why I have so much trouble focusing on these other peripheral things that aren't serving my purpose. And this is why I'm so passionate about this purpose. And that clarifying experience helped me to really focus. And now I know what I need to do, how I need to do it, and why I'm doing it. And that's what gets me up every day. I coined that, not really coined it, but I condensed all that into one term that I call exponential impact. Exponential impact to me means I'm helping other people figure out their purpose, and I'm equipping them with the skill sets, the mindsets, the strategies, the tools to accomplish that purpose. And therefore they're affecting their world, and it's a ripple effect going outward. And so that impact is exponential. So people will come back to me and say, Joe, I hope you don't mind, but the stuff that we talked about in our coaching session, I'm passing on to friends, coworkers, family members. I'm like, yes, that's exactly what you're supposed to do. Do it. Keep doing it. That's the exponential impact. If you don't spread it, it's not exponential. It's linear, right? So I want that, that growth. As a matter of fact, I'm starting actually at the end of this month a radio show called Exponential Impact. And that will be
nice.
LI News Radio, Fridays, 4 to 5 p.m. Exponential Impact.
Nice.
That's all, it's funny that you said that, like that someone came to you and said it, because we've had that multiple times. And recently we've had someone come almost every session with us and be like, so everything you taught me, I did the same exact stuff with my clients and it worked really well. And he helps people to build out strategies for their business and for marketing, for like podcasts and other things. Shout out to Podcast Principles. Sorry, not affiliated yet with us. Maybe you will be, Ryan. Get your shit together, pal. But yeah, he goes out there and Tom knows the inside joke for that one. But he has used some of our teachings that we're teaching him, and then he's used it. Obviously, he's pivoted it and made it his own and done it. But it's like, wow, that is a useful concept or method or something else. So it's cool to hear that you were able to do that too. So I have two questions on that. Number one is, have you turned that into a method or a program that you're using with your clients? If not, you should.
Figuring out like the purpose experiment,
that actual journaling exercise.
That journaling.
Yeah, so that comes up very frequently, and I have.
Do you prescribe it? I guess I'm asking.
I'm sorry.
Do you prescribe it to clients?
Yeah, I will tell you that a lot of people aren't willing to. They're like, "Oh, this is really good," and then they don't finish the journaling process. So they kind of fizzle out a little bit at the end. But the people who do it, they get a lot of value out of it. And I have this like 3-circle Venn diagram that I use, that I'll kind of guide people in understanding, how to figure out their purpose, how to narrow down. The center of the 3 circles is your higher purpose. And it's just simple. Like, one circle is your skills. Like, what are you good at? If you're not really good at something, it's not your purpose, right? My life purpose is not playing soccer. I'm just not really very good at it. I like it. It's cool. It's a great sport. I'm not helping anybody by playing soccer, right? So one part is what's our skill set. The other part of that is what's really passionate for us. Like, what really lights us up? What do we love? And then the other part is what really serves humanity. It looks a little bit like the Japanese system of, what is it?
Ikigai.
But they throw a 4th circle in there with profitability. I'm like, listen, if you're really good at it and you're super passionate about it and it's serving humanity, that's your purpose. Whether you can make money off of it or not is a whole other story. You might have a job. The purpose of that job is to fund you living your life purpose. Or nice. If you are really good at it and passionate about it, somebody's probably willing to pay you for it. If it's really helpful to other people. Yeah. So
depends how you look at profit too. Profit doesn't always have to be financial. So
correct. And that's a
So,
huge freeing concept, right? We're not just chasing dollars and cents. We're chasing purpose. We're not here to, it's not he who dies with the most toys wins, right? We live a purpose. We live a purposeful life, and we impact other people, and that's what we leave behind. We leave behind that
mhm,
ripple effect that we were
right.
here and we made a difference in people's lives. It goes back to the story of some kid, some old man walks up on the beach, and there's all these starfish that had washed up on the beach, and the kid is taking the starfish and he's throwing them into the ocean, and there's like thousands of them. And as the sun is coming up, the sun's going to bake these starfish, and they're going to die by the thousands. And the old man says, "Kid, listen, there's thousands of these here. You just can't make a difference. Like, you're throwing them into the ocean. It's not making a difference." He goes, "Makes a difference this one here," and he flings it in the ocean. So
Right.
we're here to serve a purpose. Like, the earth's a big place. There's tons of need. If we stop doing good, then the shift is going to be that everything's going to go bad, right? So you might feel like you're tossing these starfish into the ocean. It makes a difference to the one that's in your hand, right? So that's what I do. Make that purpose. Do whatever I can. I'm here to make a difference.
All right, before I get to my final question, I want to ask one more thing about the journal. I'm curious, as you looked at the 10 days that you journaled, did you find the left page or the right page had more volume on it through the progression? Did you have more distracting thoughts or more clarifying thoughts through
The
that
clarifying
process?
thoughts by far, yeah. The distracting thoughts might be like, buy milk, or, or call this person back, or set up an appointment with somebody, or follow up with a doctor, anything that pops into my head. And if you've ever journaled, anybody who's ever journaled, you know that as you're journaling, things come up. And
Mhm.
if you don't do something with them, you're juggling now. And now you can't focus your full attention on the journal. You're like, okay, don't forget, I have to go get my medicine. Don't forget, I have to go call my mom. Don't forget, I have to go fix that pipe, or, do the laundry, or clean the garage, or, get my car fixed, etc. So all those little distracting thoughts, they just go on the left side, and then the right side can be, is clear. Like, it just clears my brain
Yeah,
for.
it's a written equanimity.
Mhm.
So, equanimity?
That's a big word.
Oh, equanimity is a part of the practice of meditation. So as you're meditating, when the distracting thoughts comes in, what do we tend to do? We want to stop thinking about that, right? Don't think about that. Now I want to think about the other thing, and stop. I got to go back to my breathing. And what equanimity says is, it's not that you're to stop it. You're not trying to prevent the distracting thought. What equanimity says is you're letting the distracting thought pass through you. Okay, so it's there, and it's there. Okay, and you're still focused, and it's there. You're not putting your focus on it.
Right.
So you're kind of doing an equanimity, like, I'm going to put it here, so I'm not putting my focus on it. It's allowed to have its space on the left page for you, but it can't be over here on the right page. And I'm going to continue on the right page, and the equanimity says, here you go, be on the left page.
Right.
We'll talk to you later, pal.
Yeah.
So I like that. It's like living equanimity, or written equanimity. All right. So the fun question, which Joe got a sneak peek, but he didn't have enough time to prepare, because before this, I'm like, you're not ready. So the question that we like to ask to everybody who has accomplished some greatness in their life and their business and impacted others is, for those people who are listening to us or watching us here, we want to give them a little inspiration if they haven't already started their business. And we want to ask you this simple challenge here. If you had $10,000 and that's it, you only had $10,000, and you only had 2 hours a day, and you had 1 year's time, what would you do to build a successful and sustaining business, understanding that you can't get more money, you can't get more time?
So as you were discussing, and honestly, so I saw you on a clip that you had this morning, and I'm like, wow, that's brilliant. And then I didn't think about it all day long. But as you're saying it right now, one thing that's been on my heart for a long time. So I've been through some pretty traumatic experiences in my life. Just to let everybody know, if you know me, my son passed away in 2016. He was 18, just before his 19th birthday. That was an extremely crushing emotional experience for me and my whole family. And recovering from that has been a challenge, and it's been something that's really the process of understanding how to manage grief and pain and emotion has helped me tremendously in my life as a whole. I feel like I'm emotionally healthier now than I was beforehand, because I've got good strategies. So it's been on my heart to create what I call the Family Peace Center, which at one point in time, the idea was to actually have a place for people to go. But in this scenario, 2 hours a day would be plenty of time, and $10,000 would be plenty of money to launch this service that I could provide to families that are in crisis. Maybe there's some kind of sliding scale they can contribute to it, and really use these emotional fitness strategies to help people manage. Maybe they haven't lost a child or lost a loved one or been through divorce, but maybe they're dealing with the drug addiction, or teens that are, out of control, or any other type of traumatic thing that's happening in their family. Could be an illness, could be a drug addiction, could be special needs child, could be a special needs adult, could be traumatic brain injury, car accidents, any number of things. And then including divorce, death of a member of the family, suicide, overdose, all these things. Families are traumatized, and the ability to help them with these tools and strategies that I've learned in my life to help them to, raise up their lives and be healthy and have a healthy family relationship is really meaningful to me. That is part of my purpose, and it's something that I haven't launched yet. And that would be something that, with 2 hours a day, that would be plenty of time to do it. And that is something that I'm going to do this year. We're launching. So you've heard it here. This is the first time I'm saying this. I'm making this commitment to you men right here and to the listening audience. Family Peace Center, in some way, shape, or form, will be launched this year, probably initially with virtual meetings, and just putting a virtual group of people together, and using these emotional fitness strategies to help them to overcome hurdles in their lives. But that's happening this year, and you'll see, I got to get a website up and running, and launch it out, set time on the calendar, and get families involved. So that's happening.
That's beautiful, man.
You need this one. We don't need this one yet. We need this one.
Correct. That's right.
That's great, Joe. Whoa. First time we've had someone commit to something right here that they're going to do. So if anybody's watching, you got to reach out to Joe and help him on this journey. Use the services he has. Introduce people that may need someone who thinks like Joe. So Joe, where can they find you, reach out to you? Where do you want them to go?
Great. So my website is beauchampteam.com. Beauchamp is on the bottom of the screen here. It's got a few extra.
We'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah, we'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah. So beauchampteam.com is the easiest way. Go on there. You can schedule time on my calendar. I'm happy to meet with anybody. It's, there's no commitment. There's no cost, free consultation. And we talk about real stuff. And I've had I had somebody December of 2019, we had a phone conversation, free consultation. And in June of 2020, told me, Joe, I would not have survived COVID if it wasn't for that conversation that we had in the end of 2019. So from that free hour-long talk on the phone, he was able to create strategies that he was able to implement financially to keep him safe and provided for throughout COVID. That would not have been the case had we not had the conversation. So bottom line point of saying that is, it's not a sales pitch. It's a valuable conversation. I'm here to add value to people. I want more for you than I want from you. So just give me a holler. There it is. There's beauchampteam.com, and you can just click right there and sign up for a consultation. So that'd be great.
Hey Joe, it's been a pleasure getting to know you, pal. I know this is not the last time we're going to talk. We're going to do more stuff together, but thanks so much for, being the person that you are, because there's so many human beings that need people like you, that need people like us. I'm happy that day in class you were like, "Hey man, I got to call myself on my own shit," because in the limited time I have spoken to you, you're really talented at this, and you really have a lot of empathy, sympathy, and compassion throughout the whole process. But you have really good tactics and wisdom on how to do that, backed by a great system with the Maxwell system. So I wish you all the luck in the world. If anybody doesn't know how to get in touch with Joe for one reason or another, you know how to contact me and Tom, and we'll get you in touch with him as well. So thanks again, Joe. Appreciate it, pal.
Appreciate both of you. Thank you so much. See you soon.
Thanks, man.